Hey everyone, I thought I would do a quick walkthrough of one of the challenges from the Start the Summer Crop at my little scrapbook store. I am doing the Pick 5 challenge with that Tisa did, and I just thought I'd walk through what I have before I put you on fast forward. So the first thing I had to do was stamps. So I have this old Stampin' Up set that I really like. It's got enjoy every moment or enjoy the little things. And I can use either one of those as the title, so I thought that would be good. Plus it has some floral elements that I thought I could add, so we'll see what I end up using from that. Then I was supposed to get ribbon, so I found this ribbon that I had, and it ends up matching this bloom collection really well, so I'm going to use that. You had to have Flair, so I had Kaiser Craft glass curios, and I think although they are glass, they're just shaped a lot like Flair, so I'm going to use that as my Flair. And you'll notice, even though this is a Kaiser Craft line, it actually goes great with this bloom, either that or the pink or even the butterfly, so we'll see which one I end up using. And then you had to have wood veneer. So I actually am not a great fan of wood veneer in general, but what I did is I ended up embossing this. I heat embossed this wood veneer with a teal kind of overlay, and it ends up matching this color, so I'm going to use this as my wood veneer. And you had to use a punch. So I've got this border punch, and I've actually already border punched one area just to see if I liked it, so I'm going to use that.
So I have put you on fast forward, and basically what we're going to do now is kind of walk through making this layout. What you see in the upper left hand corner is the sketch that I used. So once again, I did go to my Pinterest board and I pulled out a Pinterest sketch just to kind of get some ideas to go through. So I thought I'd go ahead and put that up there for you. What I liked about this particular Pinterest board sketch is it had one long horizontal and then two square photos. So I thought I would do that with my pictures as well. I also have had this bloom collection for over a year, I think, and I really wanted to kind of use it. I had just like papers left, or actually just two papers left of it. And so I mixed it with some kind of pinky paper and then this cream color just to kind of use up the rest of the paper. So you'll see that I am rounding the corners kind of like it does to make that internal part of the page, and I'm using the bloom paper on the outside as the main paper, and then another bloom paper, and then the cream. And one of the big reasons I wanted to use the cream is I knew that I wanted to stamp the title. So if you remember that I talked about, I did have that aqua paper. I thought I might use it instead, but I liked the cream. You remember how I talked about having those Stampin' Up stamps, and I knew that I wanted to use that in Joy. So I wanted to have some base that I could stamp on, that I could see the stamp come through. So what I'm doing now is just creating the strips that are going to go across to make the L shape. One of the things you may notice about this particular sketch is that it was actually turned 90 degrees. So I flipped it because I had a horizontal long photo instead of a vertical long photo. And that's something you can do with sketches, is just kind of turn them. For me, with a sketch, a lot of times I just think they're cool, or I find them, but for this particular one, and sometimes if I have a configuration of photos that I'm struggling with, I had 3 photos, and I really didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do. I looked specifically for a sketch that had 3 photos, and I found this one that would work. So what you're seeing here is I am using this Distressed Oxide in Black Soot, and I am really, on these rubber stamps, you really have to put the Distressed Oxide on it to make sure you get a good impression. And particularly, I've got a lot of things kind of working against me. I'm using Distressed Oxide, I'm using a rubber stamp, and I'm stamping on paper that has a texture, so you just kind of have to get a lot of ink. So it says enjoy every moment. I really like how that looks. This is one of those stamp sets that I've had for a very long time, back when you'd go to Stampin' Up parties at people's houses. I did take one of the small florals, and I'm going to heat emboss in rose gold that small floral in the middle of the O. This particular stamp set has a lot of little things that fit in that O. There's also a floral that you can put other things inside of, so you can layer the stamps. That's one of the things I like. But because they're all rubber stamps on blocks, it's almost impossible to get them in the right place. I know we're all pretty excited when the clear stamps came out, so we didn't have to worry about that anymore. So I was able to heat emboss that, and you can't see it great. I think maybe in one of the close-ups you'll see it better, but it's a really pretty rose gold color. I thought I just added a little shine to this. So I did gut that pink paper so that I could use the back of it to make one more kind of square section on my layout. Now I know that all that floral, the aqua floral paper there in the background, it's great, it's beautiful. I have had this collection so long, I have not used that paper so many times, so I am just going to cover it up. I know, but I think I used one piece of it already, so I think I'm okay with that. I am really quickly kind of putting some ink on here, and you're going to see why I regret this in just a second, because I did it really messy and I got it on my hands, and in the middle of this beautiful cream paper there's going to be a big black smudge in just a second where I touch the paper. And it's on there forever, and I've just decided I'm going to live with it. That's why you should not see right there. You see it now? That's why you should use a tool, and you'll see me grab the tool when I do it in a little bit. So now I have flipped the page, so the title's now where it's supposed to be there on the right hand side. And I'm going to use this red line tape to attach ribbon onto this. I have found that that works the best for ribbon because you can just set it down. The liquid glue doesn't work well with ribbon, and sometimes my ATG, I have a hard time kind of lining it up right. So with the score tape, I'm able to just, or the red line tape, I'm able just to get it down exactly the way I want. So now I have lined that up, and I have a really nice kind of match for the sketch. I have gotten the tool out now so that I don't make a huge disastrous mess anywhere else on the page, even though I already have that one fingerprint. The good news about my scrapbooking is, people will be able to find me by my fingerprints, because they're everywhere on these pages. I will go ahead and put that down with ATG. And at this point, I am loving this layout. Sometimes you do a layout and you're like, I'm not sure. And this particular pictures are when we took a horse-drawn carriage ride in Memphis. So we went to Memphis for something called Beale Street Music Festival. We used to go all the time when I lived in Arkansas, and we could get there pretty easily. We haven't been in 3 years now that I've moved to Connecticut with John. And it was one of those things, and one of the first times we went, as we were walking just across the streets, right outside our hotel, there was a lady, and she had a horse-drawn carriage, and she said, "Do you guys want to take the tour of the city?" And I think it must have been the first time we had gone, because John had not been to Memphis. So we did this horse-drawn carriage through the city and kind of learned some things about it, and it was a really great kind of experience. I have trimmed these pictures down a little bit to fit better in that space, the bottom two pictures, but that's basically what this particular memory is. I don't have any journaling on this particular page. I have got, from that trip to Beale Street Music Festival, I have probably 6 or 7 pages that I'm doing. I'm kind of working through, this is 2015, I believe. I'm working through 2015 and 2016 right now. Pictures, I've printed a whole bunch of them, so I will have journaling about this whole trip on a bunch of other albums or a bunch of other pages, so I'm not necessarily journaling on this page. I do think it's important to tell your story, and I do think it's important to journal, but I just think sometimes when you have a whole bunch of pages about the same event, you can journal on 1 or 2 of them and not necessarily have journaling on all of them. So I've got the tool back out, and I have inked the edges up of that, and now I'm going to put that down and make kind of the base of the page. At this point, the pages basically come together. I really like it. I love how the ribbon looks kind of next to the border punch. I like the colors, and I like everything about it except I just feel like there's something missing around the pictures themselves. And that's where I'm going to pull back out the black paper that was on the back of that pink, and I'm going to go ahead and make a border. So that's what you see up there. I kind of made a border, and I'm going to round the corners, and I'm going to just make it look a little bit more finished. Now, what you also see in the bottom left hand corner is that my daughter called at the same time I was working on this. So when I cut this, I cut it wrong. Also, as I was trying to put this on, I discovered that I had put that strip on crooked, and you don't really see it until you try to line up the page right next to it. So I take everything apart and put everything back together, and then there's this strip between the ribbon and that page that I'm just going to have to cover up with photos and be okay with it. Now, because of the way this sketch worked, you can't even tell really that there's a problem and it looks fine. If it had bothered you, or if you had made this mistake, you could have cut another piece and kind of sklooged, there's a better word than sklooge, it together to make it, to fill that gap if you had wanted to leave a space between the photos, or if you'd wanted to show that. So there were other options. I didn't need to use them, and it worked out just fine for me. The other thing I did, I just want to make sure you see it, is I did round the upper left corner of the photo up there to kind of continue that rounded corner look. So now we have basically the base of the page, and all I have to do now is accessorize. So what I'm going to do to accessorize is I'm going to take that one curio, put up there, so now I have my Flair. I'm going to take my wood veneer that I heat embossed and put it down in that corner, so I've got those. I did find a Felicity Jane heart kit, set of enamel hearts that actually match. What I find sometimes is I just go to my stash, and these are, I believe, Little Lovely, just a Little Lovely. Was that Pink Fresh Studios, maybe? Anyway, word phrase stickers. So what I was able to do is mix a whole bunch of different collections here, just because they all had the same color schemes. That's not something I do a lot, but for this particular layout, it worked well because I didn't have anything. I didn't have one huge set of anything. So I've got the hearts around. I've got all of that, and I'm just making sure that I have everything. So the 5 were stamps, punch, ribbon, wood veneer, and Flair. Stamps, punch, ribbon, wood veneer, Flair. Yep, 5. But I just feel like there's something missing still. So I am going to take that big floral, and I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss one more time in the bottom right hand corner. So this is just using that rose gold again, and my Versamark. And this, like I said, I've used, you can see my Versamark's been well loved. I've used this stamp set quite a bit since early 2000s when I got it, or mid 2000s when I got it, and it's stuck with me. It's really versatile, and I think you just need to find something like that that you like, that you can use in a lot of different situations. And by doing things like heat embossing it sometimes, it kind of gives it a different look. So after I heat emboss this, the last thing I'm going to do is get some mica mist out in pink and just kind of add some pink dots around, and that basically completes my page. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're doing the challenges with Michelle over at My Little Scrapbook Store, and I hope you find a way to kind of go outside your box and pick 5 things and make them work on your layout. So I'm going to have a few close-ups of the page so you can see them, and that's it for me. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and give me a comment. Let me know if you've been doing any of the challenges or if this has pushed you a little bit. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.